Welcome back, guys. We got this nice little shot of Flash drinking his coffee. We just had an insane game that had to go to a stalemate in the rematch, and we're about to jump into that right now.
Yep. Flash actually very well known for drinking a lot of liquids while he's playing. Most famous for drinking Pocari Sweat and keeping it in his cheeks for a long time, but he's switching between the Pocari Sweat and the coffee like today repeatedly. He's getting his energy of all kinds, getting his electrolytes and getting his caffeine.
Wow, man. I just want to jump into the game, to be honest. Like, I just want to go right back and see these guys go head-to-head again.
That's like one of those games that you'll never forget, right? That's one of those games that, like, in 5 years, you'll remember. And I think that that's the type of game that really speaks to how exciting StarCraft 2 can be. Classic says, but I was going to win. And Flash just says, with like 3 semicolons. And Classic just says, it's too bad, GG.
Maybe if he had focused down more Marines, we'll never know. We went to a rematch, and now we're doing that right now. Once again, game 2.1 on Moonlight Madness.
KT 롤스터 플래시 이영호 vs SK텔레콤 T1 클래식 김도우.
Down here in the bottom left in the red, our turn player, it is Flash.
And to the top right in yellow, it's Classic. Many would argue that Classic did have that game won, but neither player making perfect decisions. When you go to a situation like that in a game like this, it's impossible to know what the perfect decision is. It's easy to look back, like hindsight bias is 20/20. Now, I actually strongly feel that we will see him proxy a Stargate again. Will we see the Roddy build again or not? That's left to be seen. I think that this map, again, is really bad for Colossi, and there's no way currently in the meta that you could survive Bio Widowmine pressure with Storm, rushing Storm instead of going Colossus Tech. There's no way, no one's figured it out yet, and then just use Storm for the game. If you look at the map, if you look at the mini-map, you can see there's a lot of holes in the map, there's a lot of ramps, there's a lot of gaps, which makes units like the Tempest very strong on this map. It makes units like the Viking very strong on this map. So Colossi always going to be living in constant fear of getting sniped. If you look at, even if you look at McMap's history, like you want to look at Xel'Naga Caverns, that pit in the middle of the map, that's where always the Vikings were hanging out because the Colossi would walk nearby and you could just pick them off and escape. Stalkers couldn't blink under them, they couldn't blink near them because there's a big gap there. And so the Vikings would roam free. I mean, that's like the first example of this sort of play. That I think we saw ever on any map in StarCraft 2. And you can see even transitioning to Heart of the Swarm, like these Viking plays are quite popular. We saw Maru use Vikings and Sky Terran on this very map.
Yeah, that's why I'm loving this map. I like maps that change it up. Like we said before, it's always fun for the casters, not so much for the pro gamers. But we hope it's fun for you viewers out there as well. We do have an interesting pylon placement. Maybe that's Classic trying to throw Flash off.
Absolutely. Notice as well that he only had 1 probe in gas for both those gases. The second the SCV comes in, he shows 3. He makes it look like he's mining. He's been mining 3 for the whole time. He's really trying to throw him off here.
Yeah. Will Flash notice? I highly doubt it.
Yeah,
I don't think he's going to go for the same build either. I don't think we're going to see a proxy factory.
Did he see the pylon actually? He did.
Wow.
So now he's like, oh, okay. He left immediately for fear that it was going to be a proxy and he was going to use the SCV to scout along with the Reaper. Now I think he's just going to go across the map with the Reaper. A bit unfortunate he wasn't able to eBay block here, but Probe has to leave. SCV will win that fight straight up if they don't get any regen.
Yeah, another Reaper's coming across here. He's just going to put it at his back door. He's like, okay, you want to block there? Whatever. Whatever, man. Don't care.
You know, this can create a plethora of interesting problems if those rocks get destroyed. The rock tower. Because the rock tower can be sniped by a player like Flash to cut the reinforcements off. So that could be the tower could be sniped. The rocks, on the other hand, cannot be killed easily.
We saw it the other day. ZBZ on Expedition Lost, actually. Not in this pool, unfortunately, but
Yeah.
yeah, used a bunch of roads to snipe the rock tower, split up the other Zerg's army. Got a pretty big advantage.
Awkward thing is, it takes so long to kill the rocks, and they have so few units in the early game, like right now. The Classic can't preemptively kill it and kill the rocks that are created. It would just take so long.
You see how fast he clicks that Stargate and just confirms and immediately jumps out?
Yeah.
It's pretty sick.
Adds an eBay right away. He has gone for a risky 3cc build with double barracks, so he's not rushing into the factory or anything like that. And it's just going to be an in-base Oracle, so sorry, Roddy fans, not happening again.
Well, Oracle's going to be able to go over there and try to do some damage, but at the same time, Flash is already prepared for this. He gets the scout down once again, and he's going to have turrets up in time at both of his bases, as long as he's playing safe. Already setting one up at his back door.
Yeah, very, very careful. Interesting the Flash would take that base instead of the safer base at his main. Because defending against any sort of harassment, be it Oracle, Warp Prism, pressure, is going to be so much more difficult this way.
Yeah, it's really far away from your main base, this other one, actually.
Yeah. Classic's reasons are much more obvious. It's just because he was being blocked currently, and he wanted to get that base up ASAP. He's actually going to fight these Marines. He can fight 4 head-on, but when the reinforcements come, he's got to get out of there. Loses quite a bit of hit points, actually.
Only gets 1 Marine, too. He does scout the 3rd CC, though. Let's see if he reacts any differently this time, because he's going to get the scout down much quicker compared to game 1.
Yeah.
Also, this map is a bit different. You know, you can go for something aggressive. You can put like a pylon next to the rocks and warp next to it, you know.
Yeah,
go in the back door.
Absolutely correct. And he has seen this, you know. He saw it with the Oracle already. Not making any more Oracles. Going to crank out some observers here. Get some vision. And we'll add the Bay very soon, no doubt. Okay, so he even made the Bay before his first observer. He's really getting it out quick, and he goes Immortal instead. I like this a lot. He's going to be very aggressive. He's going to attack early on. And Flash is going to be hard-pressed to deal with this.
Immediately taking those 2 backdoor gases, by the way. Really wants to get that up here.
It's really important that Flash has stim this quickly. That's going to make the defense a lot easier against any sort of timing attack you may encounter.
Reaper going to be found out of the map. That's pretty nice. You don't have to worry about that annoying bug flying around your base.
Yeah, it's really important too. Because he doesn't want him to see the Immortal especially. Seeing a Robo Bay at this time is not crazy. And he's going to spend all of his chrono on it, should he actually commit to the attack, which I think he will. In fact, I'm going to keep a close eye on that on my hope so you can see. Immediately chronos the first Colossus.
He's adding 2 extra gates.
Yep. He has plenty of chrono energy available. Chronos a second time on that Colossus. I mean, all chrono energy. Chronos again, chaining the chronos together, not missing a second on it. And
6 extra gates.
yeah, it's going to be an all-in. This is a smart choice. This is the choice that was one of his options in the first game. But like you said, he didn't see it fast enough. He didn't have the idea fast enough. He totally misread the situation.
But this time he does have that information. And I'm loving to see it out of Classic specifically. You know, seeing him go aggressive, it doesn't happen all too often. That Marine didn't even see much.
Yeah. Another thing I really like about this is that, you know, I said Colossi are bad on this map. They're not bad on this map if you kill them before Vikings are really out and really a factor. They're really bad if it goes to late game, which is where Classic is going to, again, with this type of push, totally avoid.
Also, they're pretty good if your opponent is not going heavy harass style. You don't need to split them up in your main base. As you will see, the 2nd and 3rd bases are very, very far apart, so it's kind of hard to get all your units in the right place, defend all the drops and stuff. The style that Flash went for was just very fast, 3 CCs, and has a ton of Marines, which are not going to do well against 2 Colossi.
Valdez is going up the ramp. He has no idea. This is the worst possible situation for Flash. Now he knows he's up against an all-in. He needs bunkers. He's making bunkers at the top of his main base.
Yeah.
Whichever base Classic decides to go to is already dead. I can see the future. It's already dead.
Not if Flash lifts it up right now and gets those 3 bunkers up, possibly.
Right. Well, what I mean to say is it's already it's no longer going to be there in just a few minutes.
Yeah.
That scan there for Flash confirms this is an all-in. He had no vision of this, and Classic is just going to get away with this. Bunkers will help, against this, but Colossi can do so much damage to those SCDs, and with range, he can actually poke at the bunkers for free.
Yeah. He's got 3 Colossi on the map at this moment in time. Looks like he may want to rotate around to that backdoor base. Uh-oh. And rally one of those Colossi.
Yeah, ooh, that's actually kind of problematic. Flash knows about this, though. Like, he knows about the rotation. Is going to immediately pull this base down, and is probably going to lift this base up at the last second. And we're going to actually play tennis a little bit with these units.
This is such an interesting map, man.
Yeah. I'm actually kind of really starting to like this map the more I see it. Creates a lot of unique situations.
Which is always a lot of fun. And
Okay.
Flash can just do this because he'll be always 2-base to 2-base against Classic. He can slowly get his Viking count up to a respectable number against this number of Colossi.
Yeah,
and just slowly defend.
As long as he has an orbital on the ground, he can continue to drop extra mules. So now he's gonna. This is the part of the tennis game where he lifts this one and drops this one again. This is just gonna keep happening.
I suppose if Classic is fast enough, he can force it so it's like 1.5 bases while he takes another base back at home.
Flash does clear those rocks. I was going to say if the rocks were still there, he could probably actually leave just a group of Zealots on one side, and then send the army to the other side, and then the Zealots could force the base to lift.
Classic is transitioning.
Yeah, well, he has to at this point. He needs a third base. He's failed to do what he wanted. He's also faking that he's continuing to produce Colossi and continuing this attack by showing some hallucinated Colossi, further causing panic by Flash. He's going double upgrades. This is a really cool way to have played this situation out. Both players basically handling this perfectly. Flash is really playing on point today, I gotta be honest.
Yeah, he's looking so strong. Oh, boy.
This is why Vikings are good on this map. Where do the Stalkers go? How do they deal with that? How do they defend that? There's so many places where this can actually occur. I mean, this is my third time now commentating this map. And I can see this. If you just look at the minimap, you could tell this is a map where Vikings are going to dominate the air. Any flying unit is vulnerable at all times. And I think seeing a Temple Archive here would not be a bad idea. I think it's like the way to go. He's already switching out of them.
This is one way, on this map at least, to force a later game against Turn, It's to put the pressure on. It's almost like a different style of what SOS did that one time. I think it was against Flash, actually, where he hallucinated some Immortals, faked an Immortal push while he was taking a third base and got ahead in economy. And then eventually the army of SOS was just way too big, and Flash couldn't fight it straight up.
Flash ends here, which is really interesting. He cannot be thinking he wants to take a fight here. This is the one place the Vikings don't have an advantage. Notice where they sit, again, over those holes that lead down to the lava. I don't know what to call them. Pits, crevasses.
I like pits.
Pits, okay.
It's like the molten lava pit.
Yeah. It's like it's just there's no like a accepted term for this type of structure in a map.
We're gonna make it up now.
I guess the proper term would be like unbuildable terrain. Like any unbuildable terrain is.
Well, I don't want to call it unbuildable terrain. That's way too complicated. By the way, Classic has got so many sentries in his mix. Just want to point that out. It's not so common that you see 7 sentries against Terran.
Well, I think the reason why is because he was hoping to force field bunkers with his all-in, and now he's just got all these leftover sentries.
Just gives him like a funky unit composition right now.
Yeah.
He's also got 3 Immortals. He's looking to make that switch, with the Templar Archives.
Yeah, he just hasn't added the actual archive yet, which he can definitely afford. It almost looks like he just wants to...
I think he was putting it down.
Let me check.
Not sure if he finished it, though.
It did finish. Okay, you're right. Templar on the way now. The Dark Shrine is also a really cool idea because there's so much open space to sneak those DTs by. Ooh. This is the one place you don't want to have your Vikings.
And this is the thing about this map. Look how long it's going to take Classic to get back to this base. How is he going to get back there?
He can.
His army position, compared to where Flash has this drop, he just has to warp in and get a photon overcharge down, I guess. But he has no mothership core.
Yeah, he lost it earlier, and he never rebuilt it. He will lose this base if it's targeted.
Look at where Classic's army is going all the way around.
Flash not utilizing this. Definitely could have gotten a base. Looks like he wants to use this more of a diversion. The Colossi are very exposed here. Look at the minimap. Look at those Vikings. They are on the hunt.
The Predator Vikings
Goodbye,
coming in.
Colossi.
They're all alone.
Goodbye.
One-shotted. All 3 of them. 3 Colossi go down. Storm is not on the way. Drops coming down.
I mean, this is just that's all of his defense. He doesn't have Storm. He's using Archons, obviously. That one went down. The Vikings can land here, actually, and they will. Flash is just going to steamroll and win this game. Look at the production tab.
Classic at this moment in time, he has to force the fight out in the middle of the map or even try to go for some kind of weird base trade, but He's getting so far behind right now. You can see it even in the supplies right now.
Yeah. He's going to try to go for a counterattack.
The DTs are interesting.
Now imagine a situation where we have another base trade into a stalemate, Valdez, after this.
Could happen. Could happen. I don't think Flash realizes he's trying to run away too much. The DTs are doing so much damage. He's not scanning.
Oh, wow, yeah, I think you're
DTs
right.
are taking out everything.
They're killing everything. But over here, he cannot engage up that ramp. He doesn't have Colossi. If he had Colossi, this would be a totally different story. But he doesn't. He lost them earlier. And 5 ghosts on the way. And this is going to make this so much stronger. He's also up against almost a purely Zealot comp and all these sentries. What is happening there, actually?
They're not even attacking. It's kind of strange.
I don't even know what the hell is going on.
Must be bugged or something.
Yeah. That's really strange.
Well, you get that fixed.
Classic is actually sending units home to defend them, but they are not attacking at all.
Nice little drop. Harass over here. Classic has gone home now.
You lifted them. I was going to say, that's really bad for Flash, actually, if he has units over there that are dead supply.
Yeah. Well, at this moment in time, Classic barely has an economy. He's got 23 probes. He's barely even mining.
DT defense here is still working out decently for him.
Yeah.
But
Flash
the fact
having
that
so much trouble against that.
the fact that Flash now has ghosts with this attack.
7 ghosts. 11 medevacs and a giant bio ball.
Yeah. Even making the ghost count up to 9 these last 2 finishing. I don't think they're even going to make it.
The upgrades are much better for Classic. Keep that in mind. He's got a ton of Zealots. He's going to force Flash to kite forever.
He doesn't have Storm, you know? You need some sort of AoE against this. And Archons don't count. Charge? No, actually, it's almost done.
I thought that was done. Now that I think about it, with this many ghosts, you get EMPs on all those Zealots, you can snipe them down so fast.
Yep, and even if you don't use the snipe ability,
well,
ghosts,
I didn't technically mean that.
Oh, okay. But if you use ghosts, they do bonus damage to light units. I think that's part of the reason why he adds them into this comp. The EMPs are crazy here, and Flash is going to take game 2, going up 2-0 against Classic. This is starting to be a major upset, Valdez. GG.
Unbelievable.
You can't even believe it himself. He's like,
wait, what?
He's like, so we do have time to go to the bathroom, right?
He's like, who's that I'm playing against?
I think that's literally.
Who's that? Is that Ruin? Is that Ruin? No, it's Classic.
He did kind of play like Ruin a little bit with those Immortals. But, I think Flash literally just asked him, can I go to the bathroom? And said yes. And he's going.
Oh, man.
He hasn't watched him.
That map is pretty brutal.
That map is really,
but it's
really
so fun.
It's really fun. It's really unique. And the reason why the map is so cool to me is because it's a map that throws the rules of traditional maps out of the window, and it seems balanced to me. I think it was a good idea by Classic. I would have loved Classic's play so much if he went Storm right afterwards, like right away.
Yeah, why was it so delayed? He had the Templar Archives for so long. Maybe he just felt like he wanted to go upgrade heavy Archon, Immortal, like, I don't know.
His charge was also
Storm would
late.
have been huge.
But if he just went right into Storm, would be like, listen, you know the map. You know Colossi don't work here. You stopped making Colossi after you lost those. The Vikings were able to fly through those bases and kill the Colossi.
That was
because
sick.
Colossi, you should just not make them on this map unless you're doing an all-in, which he did. Then you transition away and use the Colossi that you have to fight in open areas and get Storm, which is what I thought Classic's plan was, but he had other ideas.
It would be so funny if the meta on this map becomes the Protoss has to like put on immense pressure or go for some kind of weird proxy Roddy build in order to survive until Storm, you know, and like totally like change that aspect up. Because on most normal maps in the pool, you can just sit back on 2 base and defend. You know, you get your Blink Stalkers out. You know, Hero really made that style popular. You just defend against all the drops, and eventually you take the 3rd around the same time as the Terran. You guys go later, and then the Protoss has a decently strong chance if they can get Storm out. And that's kind of where the meta is, but this totally changes everything in this map.
Your 3rd base is really far away. It's vulnerable to Vikings. Colossi are like, they're a huge liability. Imagine all the times we've seen Colossi get sniped by Vikings, like Max said, or not Max said, Jim versus Maru, you know, that kind of game.
Oh, yeah.
Where you're like, you see something happen, you 1A your Colossi, they walk up ramps. Like, this is the Colossus' worst map. Like, they never want to be here. Like, please don't warp us in from IR. We do not want to be here. We don't want to be on
Not
this map.
Not this map. Any other map.
Any other map is fine. Defending a 3rd base becomes so